tonight, and I'm not sure how to make this stop sliding, but I'm gonna try. Anyway, yeah, so I work as I'm a digital artist. I illustrate, I do concept art for video games and covers for comic books. And so today I'm going to talk about some of my illustration process, what goes through my mind, and these are live examples of projects that I've done with companies. So I'm going to kind of introduce a bit of what goes on in the industry as well, and how I tackle them. Alrighty. Okay, you guys have seen this stuff already, right? I guess. Yay! Alright. Yeah, let's see. Okay, let's go with this one first. So this is a cover that I did for Marvel, and what I'm going through. Oh no, it's doing that again. Hang on. Let's see. Okay, let's keep it at this for now. What I'm gonna show is like several different kinds of painting pipelines that I go through, and all of them are kind of different. And I use this to adapt to the job scope, right? And given the amount of days that I get to do, so I try to adapt and be as modular as possible. So my way, my approach is I'm kind of modular, and I change my approach all the time. And let's go into it. Ooh. Okay, so like all covers and all products, you get the thumbnail face, and this is where I work with the editor to come out like several layouts, and the editor gets to choose the one that he likes the most. And of course, he's doing this with the knowledge of crowd appeal, and also like background of he knows the character a bit more. So the editor will make the choice and kind of choose the best layout he thinks it's worthy on the shelf. So this is the cover that I did. Actually, can you guys see it like totally from here? I guess, yes? Cool, okay. So this is the cover we chose, and as an illustrator, I try to pump in lots of details, lots of maybe a bit of background story, and a bit of design, a bit of a little bit of everything. But how does one get there? Especially if you're drawing from scratch, from a white piece of paper, and sometimes reference is not always on hand, or plus you have a deadline. So this one I did in about 4 days, 3 days, 4 days, and how do you arrive at a vision? And for some artists, they are spontaneous. Some people just get it right away, and but this is my approach of how I ease myself into getting to where I want, and also to get invested in the idea that the editor has chose. So this one, actually he chose B, and you notice that it actually doesn't have Rocket Raccoon inside, and after they chose it, the editors actually tell me, put in Rocket Raccoon, and this is because I think the lady character Nikki Go, she's not recognizable enough, so I have to put in Rocket Raccoon. So yeah, with the basic stuff for layout, why they chose this is there's a good foreground, which is Rocket, and previously it was debris. So Rocket is the foreground, midground, or the subject, the main subject matter, Nikki Go, and then the background is a spaceship. So the briefing was Nikki Go and Rocket trashing through a spaceship, and the subject matter behind was a space generator. And of course, due to the work of the nature of this work, I actually don't have any reference pictures of the generator or the spaceship or anything, because the artist of the book hasn't drew it yet, and I kind of have to wing it. But generator, sci-fi generator, they are kind of, we can kind of imagine what they might be. So either a glowing blue orb or something. So, you know, it's something that I marinate myself, my mind with. You know, I think about that, and I try to draw like some suggestiveness in the drawing, in the line art that I do. So when you do something and you're without vision, always try to suggest things on the paper, right? The more you suggest, the more you aid your mind, and the more you leave burden, right? So yeah, we have a little bit of generator in the background, we have the rocket at the front, and Nikki Go in the midground. So with, you know, if you do this in Photoshop on the paper, the next step would be the rendering, right? And you know, where do I start? The moment you add the color white, the moment you add some color on the white background, immediately you get a lot of feedback. You get like this thing, bold color there, and then you think, oh, you know, maybe I'm going wrong, or maybe well, what am I doing now? So what I like to do is I like to fill it with gray, mid-tone, almost dark, and usually I do that first to identify what are the light sources I can put in. So with this method, you kind of you kind of lay the foundation to how to say, aid your mind to think about volumes and shapes with lighting. So the main light sources that I get from here are from Nikki Go's gun muzzle flash. From a muzzle flash, the explosion in the generator, and the generator itself. So yeah, so you put indications, right? And right now it doesn't look like anything at all yet, and you're asking yourself, well, what am I doing? And I have a deadline of 3 days, I need to submit this. So with this, it's a bit more clearer, and then at this point, I like to just try to dive into it and add some subtle colors. So to me, to ease into it, I like to push things subtly, to lift it up from the canvas. So some subtle colors, environmental colors, a bit of bluish here, a bit of rim lighting there. And the good thing about just working from a dark space, you know, you're actually playing with lights, so in a way you have full control of the scene. So rim lighting, bounce lighting, you know, bounce light, just and you know, be a bit bold, just add some color relation of bounce lighting towards the character, like the generator is bouncing off her back now, and you have that kind of rim lighting, and you get some readability. It's still super dark and still kind of ambiguous, but it's actually getting a bit more, you have more clarity now, and from here, your mind gets a bit, it's easier for the mind to translate what you want, what you finally want. So because there's a lot of smoke, I added a lot of kind of, how to say, atmospheric colors to define some silhouettes, and that kind of fills up the picture more and aids to the readability, and yeah, just coming along. So a bit of rim lighting and detailed definition to Rocket's face. So this is the part where I go in and I select just a small segment of the picture and ask myself, what do I want it to feel like if I want it to be polished? So I just take a small section of the picture and then I render. And with this, I like to render according to volume, so I think of everything in a three-dimensional space, and I think it's oh, I think someone's at the door. Hello, you want to come in? Hello. Oh, there's seats here. Thanks for saying. So yeah, I'm like explaining my process of illustration right now. Okay, well, thanks for coming. Where am I at now? All right, to visualize in a three-dimensional space, right? So I'm an artist who takes things in measurements. I like to use anatomy and volume to create measurements. The pro of using this sort of mind techniques is that normally you can get lots of things done, right? The bad of it is that you might not get nice, spontaneous outcome, right? It might not look as fresh, so you might over-complicate, over-detail, stuff like that. So you have to pull yourself back. So more definition, more rim lighting, and more detailing of the costumes and random block out, and some suggestiveness of a little bit of dust speckle and details coming out from the gun muzzle. So at this stage, you know, you can keep adding in lots of rough detail, you know, and they are all there as placeholder. You know, whether you get to it in the end, if you can get to all of it, is a bonus, right? But if you can't, at least it's there. It's there to support an idea. And the more you support an idea, the more you kind of trick somebody into investing in your cover, you know, believing in your cover, right? It's all about the investments of somebody else's mind. So, yeah, a little bit of tweak with Rocket's gun, and more further detailing, and at this point, you know, you can almost feel like, hey, this is rather complete already, and the steps that I took to live it out, it's not that far from each other. So it's kind of like baby steps going towards a complicated picture. And for this, one of the major things I had to take care of was the background. So I used texture because texture is noise, and the more noise you add to the density of the picture you have, you actually create an illusion of detail. So I add some noise in the background, and it's also very peripheral detail. So you kind of can get away with cheating, or yeah. So this texture I use is actually from the movie Aliens. It's the floor grill, and actually there's like a pair of soldiers' legs here, but I kind of used it to make it look like a ceiling beam that's overhanging. And yeah, it's simply what you can get away with, and just try. Right here, I'm actually lighting up some of the volumes of the smoke. Right, smoke is very voluminous. It's actually not as transparent as people think. So when you create an atmospheric something, you can put in as much light volumes, light pillars, and make it bold and not transparent. And a bit of color balancing to kind of bring it back into a little bit more sci-fi-ish. And darkening of the background to kind of bring the focus back to the subject matter, which is Nikigo. And yes.
Is everything on one layer?
Well, I have backup layers, but not everything is on one layer. Not everything is on one layer. I have something of a main layer that I flatten all the time because to me it's easier when I can get to change things on the fly and not look for the layer. You can actually look for the layer if you use the arrow button and you hit Control and you click on the picture. You actually can detect the layer you want right there and then. But yeah, I kind of like to just flatten and work on it, and I'll have like something of a backup at the bottom. Yeah.
I just found it curious. At the very first step, your mid-tone was kind of in the warm reddish brown, but yet in this final piece, it's more of it looks a lot more bluish. Was that final color scheme something you just decided on the fly, right?
I kind of decided on the fly, but at the beginning it was a mix. It was actually blue as well. So I kind of rebalanced it back to blue again. I kind of wanted the sci-fi thing going on, but sometimes I change to kind of explore. You know, midway I'm exploring and trying to harmonize the colors and stuff. But yeah. But good question. Thank you.
At which point do you show client?
For this one, it was about somewhere at this point. On the third day, I showed the client, I showed Marvel, and they were like, yeah, cool, but fix her face.
So do you get it, like, when you reach this point, sometimes they say, you want something quite different than the other?
So far, no. Marvel has been like super nice to me. They haven't done anything crazy like ask me to redo stuff or whoa, this is a violation of we can't do this now, we can't print this or something. Yeah, they're pretty nice. Very cool people. Yes. Yeah, nothing too major. I'll let everybody know when that happens. So yeah, this is the final complete picture, and you know, a bit when you have time, you know, you try to polish as much as you can, and a little bit of suggestiveness to bring some reality to it, like the burning ash and the foreground that's kind of blurred out in front of a raccoon, and some sparks and extra stuff just going on. Yeah. And yes, feel free. Oh yeah, what's up?
Well, I was just wondering, Gary, maybe I missed out on what is the actual program that you're illustrating in?
Oh, I'm so sorry I didn't say. I use Photoshop. Yeah, just purely Photoshop. Thanks, man. Thanks for reminding. And yeah, ask any questions along the way because I might have a detail that might be interesting and I kind of forgot.
Garrett? Maybe first, go.
Okay, you first.
May I know, like, to what extent how finished will you render it?
rooms or how random? How do you find the balance?
Man, that's a real good question, man. I mean, you shouldn't kill yourself over rendering some stuff, and you know, you sometimes you measure the income versus the amount of hours you go in. I don't know. It have to be something that you're satisfied with, I guess, and satisfied with putting out there. Like this was my first cover I did for Marvel, right? And to be honest, I think it's the most cleaned up one I did as well. At the same time, I was thinking like, you know, I don't want to lose them as a client, and I want to impress the heck out of them, right? At the same time, I'm going to kill myself by setting up the bar too high, but you know, it's actually it's okay. Just do it the best for your first one, and then subsequent one, just make the deadlines, and yeah. I guess you arrive to a point where you're comfortable with something. You know, it takes some time to get there. Yeah.
In your final image, right?
Yes.
How many focal points do you have, like areas of highly finished rendering details?
How many areas of focal point?
Face and
I normally group it. So I group it as foreground, midground, background kind of thing. And then there's stuff to consider, like the text arrangement, like how they put the word Guardians of Infinity at the top. So right there is kind of all peripheral, and I just black it out. And what you actually get to see is just Rocket and Nikigo and explosion. So that's kind of the focal point.
yeah,
Yeah.
but the progression of priorities, right? So Rocket first, and then Nikigo, and then you
By right, it should be Nikigo, and Rocket should be a lot darker due to him being the foreground. But Marvel wanted him in because Nikigo might not be recognizable enough. So I didn't have quite the opportunity to fully darken him according to actual values. And what I could do was to just make him a bit more monotone as blue, and have that rim lighting around him. Yeah.
Thanks.
Cool. Okay. Yes. Yes.
Just now you mentioned the inside page artist hasn't drawn the spaceship generator yet,
Yes.
and you drew your version of the spaceship generator.
Yes.
So what happens if yours is very different from the other guys?
Okay, so the question is that I drew this generator before the interior, the sequential artist did his version of the generator, and does it matter? And not really. So it's quite okay. Well, I think as long as it's not too crazy different, like the generator is a steam engine or something. If it's a spaceship generator, it's still going to be electrical and stuff. So there's a common language that you can kind of go with. Or yes. Okay. Let's see. Okay, this one is kind of fun. This is, oh, I have a crazy picture. Anyway. So this one I did for Guardians of Infinity issue 2, and it's a variant. And of course I try to give options that might not kill myself. So yeah, another thing about your question, you know, you try to, of course you want to do something real detailed ace or something, or you know, to the best of your ability. But also I guess in a layout you can plan your way and then try to sell it to them. You know, this is simpler, but I can make it so polished. Yeah, but you know, in the end it's up to the editor. But so for this one I chose option B, which was the one I told them not to because it will kill me and stuff. but they wanted, they wanted a whole cluster mess of characters together, and yeah, basically they really loved that one, and they didn't choose the rest. I was like comfortable with.
In your opinion, do you consider that particular statement as tempting fate?
Sorry?
Do you consider that particular statement as tempting fate?
Stepping fate.
Tempting fate.
Stamping fate.
Tempting fate. Right?
Oh, tempting. Oh, well, I guess it's always. I like that. Now that when I speak to my editor, I'm always going to think about that. Tempting fate. Yes. But yeah, kind of. Anyway, so the difficulty in this piece was that they wanted me to do kind of like a trash down with the heroes versus this guy is called the newcomers. Hey man, there's actually seats here if you want, or yeah, make yourself comfy. Thanks for coming. And I had to follow kind of like a model sheet, a design sheet of the enemy, and he's called the newcomers. And at that point of time, they didn't give me the colors for them either, so that's why they're like in just black and white, grayscale kind of enemies. And so this image was tough. I had to finish it in about 4 days as well, and after this, they sent me an assignment saying that they wanted cover issue 5 for Drax the Destroyer to be fighting a whole horde of this entity called the Newcomers, this enemy called the Newcomers, and their exact words was to make it as epic as the fight at Mordor, make it Lord of the Rings. And I'm like, okay, and so the newcomers, they kind of have a specific design or about them. Let me see if I can zoom in. Okay. So yeah, they kind of have like this very plated thing going on. At the same time, they're not exactly organic and stuff. And there are 4 eyes, and I'm supposed to do like a whole horde of them. And the painful thing in this is that with a design you have to take care of the angle of how it looks when they are posed, right? And you have to redraw it again and again and again and again. And how did I do it? So this is the final picture. I actually asked my editor, I said, it's going to be a lot of them. Can I take the design elsewhere? Can I just make it not consistent? Like, make everything different? And this really released a lot of burden from what I was doing, because I didn't have to follow the design to exact, yes. Anyway, yeah, to a T. Yes, that was what I was looking for. And so yeah, I kept it organic. It actually worked out a lot better. They kind of look more menacing, and also at the same time, it's more ambiguous. You can't really tell if it's organic metal or is it. Are they like wearing something, or is it them? So for this one, I didn't really need to do thumbnail approval for them, because there was just only one image, and they kind of gave me the idea to do this right away. Drax versus a horde of guys. How does one start to lay out the characters in? So when I was doing this, basically there's about 5 or 6 of the enemies that I really wanted to have their poses to be readable, and then the rest are kind of peripheral, just to support the idea that there's an army there. So yeah, you can kind of see like the one in front of Drake's kind of like holding the 2 dumbbells, and then one at the front trying to find something on the floor, and yeah, these are like the key ones that I actually really start off with, and then I started to fill in more figures in the background behind them, and the rest are kind of like accommodating. The big guy is to take up space. So I like to think about what can I do to ease my burden. Yeah, and I think that's important in terms of like supporting the vision or getting the work done faster. Yeah, that's what I always try to think about. So. And for something complicated like this, I like to go with black and white values just to put details in, and to me it's the best way of pushing details in. And you know, having black and white, you know, it takes the burden out of thinking about colors, thinking about lots of other things, right? You just try to get the stuff done in black and white first. And also the same thing, this approach I'm going from a darker tone, or mid-tone or darker tone, you put lighting in. You take lighting as a tool that you're controlling, and you leave the characters out. Oh no, what is this? Anyway, not far away from that. So, one thing you notice, I cropped the picture even closer so that I don't have to color so many characters. You know, must survive. So, yeah, I crop it in, I make it tighter, and then I say, you know what? More conflict, more drama. Anyway, something interesting. So, with Drax being the foreground, by right he should be actually darker. Right, the rule of thumb is that things in the foreground are of a stronger color, darker color. But because he's also the star of the cover and he's a product, I couldn't render him darker and make him readable as a silhouette. He needed to be seen as Drake's the Destroyer. So this is one of the things that you do as a cover artist. And yeah, you try to compensate by making the background a little bit more how to say faded. You know, with things that's further in the distance, they get a bit more whitish and stuff. So yeah, lower contrast. And yeah, that's what I tried to do with this. And then the final is some slight suggestion of foreground in the front, which is just black rocks, just to frame up the whole piece better, a little better. Yeah, because this isn't this is a piece which you don't have the traditional layout, but I try to work it in. How are we doing on time? Okay. Any questions? Yes.
Do you have any bodybuilder friends like Alex Ross?
No. No. My advice with anatomy is that try to study anatomy as a volume. It's good to follow the layout, right? To study it scientifically, but study as volume to me is a bit more beneficial because you get the gesture of the muscles instead. And what's covering the muscles is fat, is some tension from the posture and skin. So it's a lot better to study anatomy from a voluminous point of view, right? You get everything in there. And to do it scientifically, you're kind of restricted by a skeletal frame that you build out and stuff. And when you walk and see people everywhere, they're all kinds of different body types, right? So yeah, don't limit yourself and study it the voluminous way. And I learned from sculpting as well. It really helps a lot. So, this is the last cover I did for Guardians of Infinity. This is issue 8. It's out in the stores now. This approach, I did it a bit more traditional, kind of Drew Struzanish, movie poster rendering, like it's kind of old school. Let's see if I can get in. So yeah, kind of old school, kind of rendering. Everything is kind of homogeneous in color. I like to use that because it's, to me, it's the kind of like safest way to push out something. It's not the most freshest way, but it's kind of safe.
Are you using any special custom brushes, or is it just default Photoshop round brush?
I like the default Photoshop brown brush.
Round brush, huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, round brush with that, what's it?
Pressure?
Smear at the end.
Oh, yeah.
And I have a custom brush that a friend passed to me for this one. It's just the background colors, or rather rendering, I would say. Like, see this area? It's kind of like a rake brush where I can do 5 strokes at the same time, just to be a bit quicker. So with this one, yes, first the layout, anatomy, measurements. What was going through? Yeah, there's a foreground element, which is aerial light, the guy with the big sword, and some balancing here and there. So this you can always keep doing forever. In fact, you kind of build some morale behind it when you're doing like lots of complicated line work. But yeah, what do you do after? So so for this one I did a bit more monotonous filler. You can, depending on what you want, you could use multiply, overlay, or colorize or something. But it's always case by case. What aids your mind the most, right? You make the decision yourself and you choose. So for this one, I didn't go for lighting first, like the first example. I went for volume and shadows. Right, I start to seek out what the block shadows are first, and just to make sense of my line art, right, to aid my mind. And once when I was satisfied with the grouping of the shadows, I went in and I do suggestiveness of colors. So still not the final colors, but I just go in and I suggest, right? And doesn't look like nice or anything, but it's an idea to support the piece. Is there any water around? Can I?
If you're just trying to block out the shadows this time around. Is there a difference between doing that and ambient occlusion?
Ambient occlusion is kind of different, right? I mean it is shallow, but
Yeah, I believe there's a difference. I'm just trying to understand what it is. Thank you.
Well, this is more according to volume. Ambient occlusion has a bit more bounce lighting and a lot of like stuff happening. It's more scientific and there's more calculation.
Oh, calculation. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Alright.
But this is just making sense of volume.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice.
Sorry, by volume, and piece of what?
Three-dimensional shapes, right? By volume, I mean physical space and what the shadow, what casts, what brings about shadow casting, and so, for example, let's see. Like there's no indication of volume in this until I add some suggestiveness of shadow, and it could be like super simple. So in rendering somebody's face, the face has lots of undulations and how to say surfaces, right? That's facing all kinds of different direction. But I go for the main volumes of shadow, and in this with the Indian guy, I add like 2 triangles, 2 volumes of shadow below his brow and below his nose as a suggestiveness to bring the face out. So it's a kind of visual aid. Does that make sense?
So it's thinking in 3D and applying like lighting and such.
Yeah. Yes.
Then by sculpting, you mean sculpting in 3D software Maya or sculpting using your hands?
Well, sculpting in 2D terms. So you can, on a piece of paper, whatever you're drawing is going to suggest volume, right? A person is voluminous, so when you draw a person or a subject matter, it has volume, right? Without volume, your picture wouldn't be as convincing. It wouldn't have weight. It wouldn't have things that people remember that resemble something. So in that correlation, the more you trick someone into recognizing something, and to me, I use volume as a tool because I see it as it's a great tool because not only you get a correlation, but you get to measure, right? There's a lot of measurement, and to me, it's the most pragmatic way of approaching. Thank you. This drink is called Bojio, by the way. Wait, it's not. Oh, and it's got Autoforms art, man. That's super cool. Anyway, let's see. So, volumes of shadow and lighting, some suggestive colors. They don't make sense at the moment, but I just put it in. And this I do to kind of make the silhouettes more readable, right? So it's not as muddy as before. I heighten the contrast and make things more readable. And from here is kind of fun. From here I try to do a render, I test render. So I kind of use a lighter color and I paint on drags. So it's playing with lighting. You're lighting the scene up and you're pushing details to come out. The lighter the color you use, the more details get pushed out. So with this, I'm doing this to drags as a test render in a small section to see where this can go. And continuous lighting to bring out the shapes. So this is quite a big jump because I'm getting more comfortable with the process. And basically, I haven't really pushed for very bright colors yet, and I'm still relying on the suggestive colors I put in as a base. But this is a marinative process. It's kind of zen when you go in and figure out the shapes, like how would light fall on this character's face, how much of it would bounce off her top of her skull. And with Rocket, just fun detailing, just going in with lots of facial, facial lines. So all the steps, they are not far from each other, but maybe this one. Yeah. But yeah, you kind of slowly push and lift the details up. And with this one, further detailing. Still the colors I use color balance to kind of harmonize everything. But you get to see a bit of color coming in and a bit of color overlay, and then I render it above that. Like Drake's pants and his tattoos. And then a little bit of details on the sword. So there is a lot of details inside if you zoom in, but along the way, what you actually see is all the volumes of shadow. They are the ones that's the most readable, and it kind of comforts the eye when you can see and read something that you can digest right away. And the details are more for as a bonus. The longer you look into a picture, you feel like, oh, this is cool. I want to look at how his tattoos are, all there's patterns and stuff. There's like details on the guns. No problem. So at this stage, you kind of feel, or rather, at this stage you kind of feel, I can bring this picture to finish. And it's all this confidence building, steps of confidence building. Putting Groot's body in, changing it a bit. And then the last was the rim lighting to give that power. There's more further readability. and it's a bit over the top, but it's kind of fun to put it in. And then I lighten the background to bring everyone's silhouette up. And yeah, this is for this cover. Any questions? Yes.
Could you talk about the overall composition?
The overall composition, it's kind of random because they wanted this amount of characters, and they are kind of like the survivors at the end of the adventure. And basically, the brief was for them to go all out. There's words, they're very brief, but I find that there's a play in the character sizes. So the smaller the character, sometimes you can cheat by placing them in the background, or you can bring them a bit more forward like Raccoon. And the green guy, he's also a little small guy, so his ability is to fly and stuff. So more or less the only area I could put him was somewhere where you could read him as flying. And Groot is a super large character, so there's quite few layout that you can accommodate him as a mid-ground character. If you put him in the mid-ground, you could, but it takes a lot more work to put extra characters that's of half the size beside him. So that's why I just put him all the way in the background. And Indian robot guy, just as a scale comparison. So when it came to layout, for me it was more of what was logical to push this out. Yeah, does it make sense?
Yeah, please.
Okay, cool. Yes.
How do you come up with like dynamic poses?
Dynamic poses.
Sometimes I found like maybe the characters are very static, they look very stiff. Like any tips to improve?
When I draw, I like to start off with rib cages and hips. I don't start from the head all the time. The head I would do it as a real rough, but the more important is the hip and the rib cage. And the way you put your rib cage and hips, it defines the gesture or weight placement of the character. And if you draw it like totally opposing, it'll be a super torso twist kind of thing. And that would suggest some dynamism. But for me, it's more of a template. So it's research of it's a library of research that I keep in my head. And the more you read and the more you see, you kind of remember stereotypical dynamic poses. And usually I will try these guys out first, and if they're not cool enough or not to my satisfaction, I'll tweak them. But that would be the fastest ways to remember templates of poses. Yeah. We have about, I think, 5 minutes, so I'm open to questions. Oh, hello.
Regarding the software Photoshop, is
Yeah.
that an essential tool for you?
Yes. Yes. Photoshop, very essential tool for me. It's got the layer function, which is fantastic, and you can experiment and make mistakes and correct them on the spot and change the scale of certain stuff. Have you used Photoshop?
You know, I used it like about 6 years ago before it was the monthly subscription service. And so I'm wondering right now, like, should I update? Is that something that's essential? Like, have things changed so much that you need to have this monthly fee service?
If you already have the software, I think it's fine. You don't have to.
Like, I have layers, from like a 5-year-old version.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you don't really have to upgrade it. The way I'm using it now, I think I'm like using it way below its full capabilities of the software. I'm actually more applying the way I draw traditionally. If you want it to look more watercolor, have the effects of more watercolor finish, you do it on a white base and you add color as it is. But if you want it to be a bit more like Drew Struzan's kind of movie posters, you go with a color that's influencing color, and then you use a certain amount of opacity that you feel it can mimic color pencils, and a super strong opaque white as the rim lighting color pencils. So you can kind of trick, or you can mimic traditional ways of doing art. Yeah.
So did you start drawing life as an artist on traditional media before you moved on to digital?
Yeah, but I was like super afraid of colors. I'm like just a line work kind of like, yeah, muscles, yeah. The bigger muscles I drew, the more satisfied I was. Look at me. Yeah.
What resolution do you work at?
400 DPI.
400.
Usually it's 350, right? But I like to just push it up higher. The higher you push, you'll get a higher resolution from the brushes as well. So it makes perfect sense. The lower the res, you get lower resolution from the brushes, the brush effects. So
But it's more work lah.
nah, it's about the same. It's all boils down to the performance of the computer. Yeah.
So how big on average is your file size?
I never really checked, to be honest. How big is my file size? Let's see. Oi. Oh right, this isn't my laptop. I totally forgot. I'm like, what am I doing? Anyway, I don't know. It's pretty big, I think. Yeah. Oh, I can open it. Oh. Yeah, that's nice, I guess.
So just confirm, you are working freelance, right?
Yes, for now.
So to what extent do you adjust your prices to compensate for software costs? Because like the other guy said just now, the current system Adobe uses is a subscription based, and it can be a real killer lah. So do you compensate this by yourself, or has Marvel been kind enough to help you compensate?
No. it's purely you're responsible for the tools you earn. You owe to get the job done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have
Do
something?
you use tablet or do you use something?
I used to use tablet. I now have a Cintiq companion. It's pretty fun to use. It gets a bit tedious the first 2 weeks because you're actually putting in more details and you're not like kind of like swashing your brush like as free as you normally do when you're with a tablet. So you get like whoa, what am I doing, man? I'm going slower now. I'm actually like thinking about my lines as I put it down. Yeah.
If you do work for like companies like Marvel, right? Do they have a fixed pay rate or paying scale, or do they expect you to quote?
They asked for quotation first, and then I think they see if it complies with the range they have. And Sunny Liu's at the back. He would have more answers to that.
You say it's your session.
Sorry? Yeah. Okay. If there isn't any question, I think that's a wrap.